Welcome to the Kickback with Keri podcast. I'm your host, Keri Henderson, and today y'all are kicking back with me again. That's twice in one season. I have had the joy of kicking back with some amazing entrepreneurs, creatives, and community leaders who are breaking barriers and rewriting the rules when it comes to success and entrepreneurship in their lives. So I wanted to take some time during this episode to share some of the lessons learned based on our conversations. These are lessons that can change your approach to business, your goals, and in life. Let's get into them. So lesson number 1, don't be afraid to pivot. Y'all, life is one big pivot over and over and over again. You heard in the episode with Brittany, we both shared that we pivoted from her being a celebrity makeup artist to me pursuing a styling career in LA, moving back to Maryland. We had to pivot. Even Kristen, the owner of CoTripper, that platform started off as a travel platform, and because of COVID and just understanding her single mom community, she pivoted to being a lifestyle platform that could provide resources and information for her single mom community. So one of the lessons we want to learn and take from these stories, these conversations, is that you are going to pivot. You may pivot more than once when it comes to your business, but just know that each pivot is getting you closer and closer to where you're supposed to be. Lesson number 2, solve the problem you wish someone had solved for you. A lot of the entrepreneurs that we talk to on the podcast created something because they had a need for it. I think about Camille and Chunky Vegan. I think about Khadijah with Doso Beauty. Lisa Alexander and her husband from Wellsprings Manor. They wanted a safe haven for when people that look like us travel. Even Charles with the Your Friends Charles platform, he was a connoisseur of wine and spirits. And so he wanted to create a platform where people could buy Black-owned wines and spirits and zero-proof liquor brands all in one place. All of these entrepreneurs created something because they had a need for it. I don't even know if they had an idea that they would be entrepreneurs. They just knew that they needed something. So think about that one item or that one big idea that you have. What is something that you haven't been able to find in the marketplace? What is the one thing that you wish was out there? You might actually be the solution to your problem. Lesson number 3, community over everything. You guys know I am big on community. That is one of the reasons why this platform exists. And we've had some great examples of brands that have been successful because they focused on community first instead of going straight with the idea of thinking just about profit. I think about Boy Crew Wines when Janelle was here and we were chatting about community and crowdfunding, getting money for the tasting room that is now open in Savage Mills. When they were first introducing their brand, she focused on community events. That's how I discovered Boy Crew Wines. I went to a community event where they were having a tasting session where you could taste the wine. We got to know her husband, and her family. And it was just a really small, intimate event, but it was great to understand them, learn about their brand, and now they have fans for life. I think about Wellsprings Manor. They have an event space, and they host events every single month, partnering with artists. They partner with the Jazz Festival. And then you have Kobe Co., the candle company, which one was created out of a need. The owner wanted some candles to help with her anxiety and depression during COVID, but they also have candle making workshops. And during that episode, we talked about different ideas that they could turn their location in downtown Minneapolis into a little hub where they could have happy hour and live music. All of these companies and all of these brands focus on creating a community-centric business model that makes them have lifelong fans, people that are going to come back over and over again and advocate them. So when you're thinking about starting a business, or you're thinking about wanting to do entrepreneurship, whatever it is in your life, even if you're not starting a business, but you just want to show up in a different way, think about building and creating community. Lesson number 4, whether you're an entrepreneur or you got a 9-to-5, resilience is required. Y'all, we are living in some rough times and we have got to be resilient if we want to survive. I think about some of my guests like Nana, who is a stylist who ventured out on her own and realized, hey, the first time she tried to be a stylist full time, it didn't work and she had to go back to consulting until she could get the business piece together. I think about Andrew from Andrew Roby Events. He talks about one of his events was a utter fail, but now he has a thriving business. And I think about Ryan from Astro Blend. He was on a third-party marketplace, but had to take a step back, recalibrate, figure some things out, and he may go back to doing third-party marketplaces in the future. whatever it is, whether it's business, personal life, 9 to 5, we are going to have to be resilient if we want to survive. And we always want to remember our why. Yes, it's going to get tough. Times are going to be hard. You may even have to take a few steps back before you go forward again, but stay committed and don't quit. And remember why it is you're doing what it is that you're doing. Lesson number 5, be your authentic self. Okay. I don't want you out here being anybody other than yourself. I think about Melanie when she was here and she was telling us about her toxic work environment and how she really had to step away to be who she is and what she wanted to do. Renee from Done Dissertation, shared with us some lessons when it comes to sales. She said, you don't need to be anybody other than yourself on a sales call. And then there's Brian from Goldiata. He is very mission, purpose-driven entrepreneur, right? His business model is based on purpose, and he's been able to help some amazing brands and do some amazing work in the community because he was his authentic self. So I just want us to remember, you don't have to perform to be seen. You don't have to put on a show to be visible. You just need to be who you are, understand your mission, understand why it is that you're doing what you're doing, and that will be enough. So one of the things I want you to think about is, how are you going to show up fully this week? Not as a brand, not as a persona, not as who you think you need to be on social media to get some visibility for your brand or what you think people want you to be, but how are you going to show up as your true authentic self? And for those of you who don't know, when I was doing, LinkedIn Lives, and I always would give a 3 steps to do this, a 5 steps to do this, there's always a bonus. So the bonus is, success is defined on your own terms. One of the questions I asked a lot during the first season of the podcast is, how do you define success, or what does success look like for you? And everybody's answer was different because success looks different for everyone. For some people, hey, it could be getting a certain number of sales in a year. For somebody else, it may be, hey, I need to upgrade to a commercial kitchen. For some of us, it's, I just need to get started, okay? Because some of us have been holding on or sitting on some things a little too long. So when it comes to success, you get to decide what success looks like for you. What does legacy and building a brand and a life that you want look like for you? No one can define that for you but you. So think about, when it comes to success, what does that look like? And it doesn't have to look like what the person next to you or the same person in your industry is doing as well. Success is something you can define on your own terms. So you guys, those are just some of the lessons that I've learned. I'm sure there are many more. Hosting this podcast, having these conversations has been a gift, not only to share the lessons and share with you these amazing brands, but just to have conversations with people. A lot of the people that have been on the podcast so far, I knew, but there are some that I met recently through mutual friends, or we were only connected on social, and sitting down on the couch and having conversations was the first time that we actually met in person. I've loved learning these lessons. There's so many more, but I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what some of the lessons you are learning on your journey in entrepreneurship. If you're a creative, if you are working in an industry that you absolutely love, you do not have to be in entrepreneurship to be learning lessons about business and life. We can learn lessons in any atmosphere that we're in. So let me know, what lessons have you learned either from the podcast or in general that you want to share with others that we can all take as we are on this journey of life and learning and becoming, the best versions of ourselves. So until the next episode, make sure you take up space, you build boldly, and always bet on yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, drop a comment below and don't forget to subscribe to the Kickback with Keri newsletter.